How's it going, everyone? Jirai Gaming here. I'm probably going to be changing that name too as well. I'm not quite sure what I want to go with, so just look for that in the future. Nevertheless, I've spoken about a few times now that I wanted to make some changes on my channel, and this is obviously one of them. Now, I'm going to be trying to get away from, of course, doing um, gameplays because it's just too much of a hassle and too much to deal with YouTube and their ridiculous copyright bullshit that they got going on. So with that said and out of the way, just brace yourself for that. You guys will probably gradually see some of these gameplay off my channel going forward. Now, today I'm going to be bringing you guys a new series, which is called The Vault. Or I was thinking if I should call it Jiraiya's Vault, which I don't really kind of like. It just doesn't swing. But nevertheless, I could probably call it The Vault. I did try to see if there was anything like that on YouTube. I didn't get any hits bearing the exact same name, but nevertheless, basically what we're gonna be doing is I'll be opening the vote one day out of the week, maybe probably on a Sunday or something. I'm not quite sure, and basically give you some bizarre story, whether it be a story time from me, a crazy story that went on in the media or something like that. Kind of give my thoughts and opinion, hear what you guys think. If you guys have any recommendation, I want to try to make sure it's not too similar to my Topic Wednesdays, so it is a bit different. If I do get any suggestions or find a video that I can put into, of course, the actual video when I do it, then I'll definitely do so. But just in case you guys don't see in the videos, just know it's because of copyright reasons and not wanting to take the risk. Now, with that said, this week I have something that I think you guys will be very, very interested with. So, I know a lot of you guys may be familiar with paranormal, you know, entities and ghosts and so forth. Some of you guys may believe in this stuff, some of you guys may not. I myself is not necessarily, I'm not really a big believer, but I can say after this story or after these events that took place, it definitely made me really reevaluate that. I'm still not a big, there's ghosts and all that stuff, but I do start to think that maybe there's something else going on, but we just can't really pinpoint yet. So with that said, and all along talking, let's jump straight into this one and hopefully you guys enjoy. Now, I was living back home, which is in Jamaica. At this time, I have to be around probably 12 or 11, I would say. Who knows, give and take. And basically what happened is we had family members that was visiting us from, of course, America, which were from Florida, actually. And so my cousins, three of them, two of which are twins, and of course, the youngest one, who was, of course, the younger sister at that time, actually. And they came to visit. My cousins was there as well. They came from another side of town to come and visit because everybody was there. We lived in a family house. The house we used to stay in had, the family house has about 5 bedrooms. Now I think we have probably about 8. I think it's about 8 or 9 bedrooms. I want to say probably about 8 bedrooms now. After we had on and finished the upstairs and so forth, 2-story house. However, they came to visit, and we pretty much were shacking up in different rooms and so forth. So my room, one of my aunts was using my room, and I went and spent the night in my brother's room, who has 2 beds in his room. Don't ask me why, but he did. At that time it was full size, so on their opposite side of the room. So I'm sleeping in one, he's sleeping in one. We went to bed. We have a room that was 2 rooms that was in the back. My cousins went to sleep there. One of my cousins was a little bit older than I am. I believe she was like 2 or 3 years older than me, probably 3 years older than me. She was pretty much kind of supervising my other cousins since she was the oldest. And at that time, she was actually sleeping in the bed with my other female cousins, which was one of my dad's sister's daughter, and then of course my other Annie, who came from Florida, her 2 daughters, or her 3 daughters actually, the twins and the younger sister. And so basically, we all went to bed. Now, this is the bizarre thing, and I'll try and keep this as quick and sweet as possible. Now, this is the bizarre thing that happened. I went to sleep, dreamed that we were in the front of our property, in the front of the house playing, and what we call this is in Jamaica is a veranda. But you guys, probably most likely in America, will call it a patio. So my grandma is sitting on the patio and everyone, and we're all in the front of the patio, just kind of playing, my cousin riding the bike, doing some stuff. My grandma was telling her, my great grandma still not to do. Um, God rest her soul. She's passed away in 2014. Um, but she's telling her to stop riding up the bike and doing what she was doing, and she wouldn't listen. I'm there sitting right under a little lime tree, and sitting there, and all of a sudden there's a car that's on the side where there's a guy that kind of comes out of the car, and then he just started walking towards us. My cousin rode past him, and he picked up a rock and threw it at her, and it hit her in her ankle, and she kind of fell off the bike. I kind of ran over and was like, "Hey, you okay?" and so forth, etc. He came up to us and started pointing at me and my cousins, and some of my other cousins. And the funny thing is, my brother wasn't there. My brother wasn't there, and my cousin who was kind of babysitting wasn't there, but everybody else was there. I mean, even the twins as well, which is really surprising. But nevertheless, so I'm there, um, and I'm thinking to myself, who's this guy? It seemed like he had something on his face, but you can still make out his face. It's just that we didn't know who he was. So he started pointing at us, saying that you guys need to stop misbehaving, giving, your great grandmama trouble, because it's not good. And if I have to keep coming back, you guys are not gonna like it. And he turned to look at her. She smiled, and then he smiled, and then he walked out to the front of the yard, and then just left. And so it just creeped us out, and so we just kind of stood there, just looking, trying to see where he went. We went run to the gate, looking, and then we just I kind of woke up out of my sleep, which was, of course, morning time at this point. Now, I went and I was in on the patio after getting up, brushing her teeth, and my aunt was in the kitchen making breakfast and so forth, while my grandma was sitting in the patio along with my great grandmama. And I was just like, I was puzzled because I kept thinking about the dream. And my grandma was like, are you okay? I'm like, I don't know. I had a weird dream. And she was like, what did you dream? And so I proceeded to tell her what the dream was about. And my great grandmama, she's sitting there and she's just like, wow. It's almost as if she's shocked. And so my grandma is looking at her like, like, okay, what, this is weird. What's going on? Both of them on each other. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Next thing I know, my brother comes in and he's like, I had a crazy dream too as well. I dreamed that for some reason we were out doing something, and someone was telling us we need to leave, and we didn't. And so we hopped in a car, we started driving, and somehow we ended up in a graveyard. And there was a lady chasing us, but we couldn't see what she really had on or what she looked like. And we were driving, and then we crashed in a graveyard. And then she just walked up to the car, and then she kind of came out of the darkness and into the light. And she had on this nice dress, said what it looked like, how she looked, and she was pointing at him, telling him, him, and there was someone else, I can't remember who he said it was, telling him, you better stop misbehaving, or else you guys are not going to like it. Stop, treating your grandmama and great grandmama so bad. And then she just kind of walked off and disappeared. And he just woke up out of sleep in cold sweat. And I was like, wow, that is crazy. And he's like, yeah, I know, man. And the ironic thing is, my cousin overheard us, and she came out, and then she said, yeah, I saw something crazy. Now, this wasn't a dream. This was just something that happened last night, and I freaked out about it. And so she was thinking that maybe she's just because she was sleepy and she didn't, but she was like, something had to happen. But hearing her story, she was like, no, something really happened. So she proceeds to saying that she's laying there and she saw a figure came out of her room, me and my brother's room, or rather my brother's room, and walked into her room. Now she's half asleep, so she's not realizing, she's not thinking too much into it. But it walked close up to her, kind of leaned over the bed, looked up to the window, which is beyond my cousin, and was like, it's only his family members that just came to visit. Those are the exact words of the figure that was standing over her. And so she said she was so scared that she couldn't do anything, and she heard like the other figure said, oh, okay. And the figure turned and went through the door and went outside. So she barely turned, and when she turned to look, she looked at the window. The window was open, and it was like, how you have those blinds where you just turn and the blinds is open. That's what the windows are, but they're like the bigger blinds. And so you literally have to open it from the inside, but for somehow it was open. When she looked at the window, she said she saw it looked like there was two babies on the opposite side of the top windows, hanging upside down. And then it's like they came close to each other and then just disappeared. and they were hanging upside down. So when she said this, my grandma, which is my dad's mom, she just looked really puzzled and not I wouldn't say freaked out, but just kind of like, wow. So my great grandma went get up and goes into her room. My grandma is talking to me. She was like, what did it look like? My cousin is telling her what the kids look like and so forth, etc. And she didn't start crying, but you can see she had a sad look on her face, and she was like, you know, I never told you guys before, but I had twins after my dad was born, and my other cousin's dad, and she had twins, and they died, and I believe they also died in that same room from some kind of, baby illness. And my grandma comes out at the same time, and then she starts going through a little folder, not a folder, but I guess what you call it, an album. And she's going through the album. She stops on a guy and said, "Is this what the guy looked like?" I said, "Yes, that's exactly what he was wearing. That's exactly what he looked like." She said, "That is my brother, and that's exactly what he buried in, because that was his favorite clothes." And obviously he's older. My grandma at that point was like 80 something. She died when she was like 90 something. No, she could have been 80 something. She was 70 something. There we go. And because it's been a couple of years now since quite a few years actually, since I've left home, moved from Jamaica. So it's been a long time ago. So she was like, yeah, 70 something, at that point. Nevertheless, I couldn't believe it. It freaked me out when I saw that. Gave me goosebumps. And even talking to you guys, nobody gave me goosebumps. And she turned the page and went to another picture where she and this lady was there, and I saw my grandma and so forth, etc., and even my dad in the picture as well. Wow, God rest his soul as well. I saw a picture of a lady that just kind of stood out to me. I had never seen the woman before. I said, "Who is this?" And she said, "That's the lady your brother saw." So my brother came over and looked at the picture, and he's like, "Yes, that is her. She had the same clothes on," and she said, "That's my mom." Now keep in mind, we have never ever seen these people before. Never seen these pictures before. Never don't know what they look like or anything at all, but yet still we had a dream about them. If that is not the weirdest and close to paranormal stuff that someone can have, I don't know what is. Until this day, it's like it's painted in my head, and I can never forget it. And this is years and years and years ago that I had this dream and these events that took place, and it's forever with me. Every time I talk about it, it gives me chills. So I don't really like talking about it, but I wanted to share that with you guys. This is my little story. Hopefully it was entertaining to you guys. What do you guys think? Anything like that ever happened to you guys before? Let me know. I'd love to hear it. Any suggestions you guys may have for this new series, be sure to let me know in the comment section. If you guys like for me to maybe adjust the name a little bit from the vote to something else, let me know as well. But nevertheless, hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully it was entertaining to you guys. If you guys did, be sure to definitely share it with someone you think may enjoy. Someone would like to hear these type of stories and so forth, etc. Share it with them. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends, your mom, whoever you want to share it with. And again, please leave suggestions if you have any suggestions that you'd like for me to add or take away, or whatever the case may be. Definitely all ears as well. So with that said, guys, thanks again for tuning in. Again, hopefully you guys enjoy, and of course, as always, I'm your host, Jiraiya, maybe soon to be changed, but nevertheless, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.